大家好，我的中文名字叫莫克林，我12岁，和我上7年级。今天我要告诉你们为什么学语言很重要。Hi everyone, my name is Karina Morey. I'm 12 years old and I'm in 7th grade. And today I'd like to tell you the importance of learning a second language. To start off, the reason I'm so interested in this topic is because of my background. So, I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I was born in Aktobe, Kazakhstan, and in the orphanage where I was, all the ladies who worked there spoke Kazakh and Russian. So, those were the first languages I've heard, but I don't speak them. My parents, who are both American, adopted me and brought me to America. I then quickly became fluent in English, and when I was 5 years old, my dad's work moved my family, my mom, my dad, and my sister, to Switzerland. And this is a picture of a town quite close to my house. And in Switzerland, we lived in the Swiss-speaking part of Switzerland. So all of our neighbors and my teachers spoke German. So a lot of you know that I like to talk a lot. So I quickly gathered that if I wanted to be able to communicate with all the kids in my community, or the adults, I would have to learn German. Luckily, at my school, I was able to learn German 5 times a week. I quickly became efficient enough to take classes such as ice skating and gymnastics in German. A lot of my friends at my school were either German or American or many different nationalities, but they often spoke 2 languages or more. This is a picture of my sister and I skiing in the Swiss Alps. And whenever my family and I traveled, we often knew that a lot of people spoke English because tourism where we were going is very popular. So, okay. Then when I was 8 years old, my family and I moved again to Singapore. In Singapore, the official languages are English, Mandarin Chinese, and many other languages. So in Singapore, it wasn't a top priority for me to learn Mandarin Chinese like it was for me to learn German. But I knew that it could be very helpful for me to learn Mandarin Chinese, so I jumped at the chance to learn in school. This is a picture of my sister and I at the Mooncake Festival. And so I was learning Mandarin Chinese, and a lot of my friends at school were as well. So we were all beginners, or many people advanced. When we were traveling around Asia, we found the same thing that we had found in Europe, that many people spoke English because there are so many tourists. This is a picture of my sister and I in front of Angkor Wat, and that's in front of my school. So I'm very thankful for the 6 years I had living abroad because it opened my eyes to see the importance of knowing a second language and how much it can help you. So let's talk about the actual languages. This chart shows how many native speakers there are of a certain language. So, as you see, Mandarin is the most spoken language by native speakers, with 955 million native speakers as of 2010. Spanish is second with 405 million native speakers, and English is third with 360 million native speakers. So, as you can see, Mandarin Chinese already has a pretty large lead over English as well as Spanish. This chart shows the same thing, but in more context. So, as you can see, this is a world map, and all the colors represent a certain language. And those colors represent where a certain language is a native speaker, is a native language. So the green is English, the red is Spanish, the orange is representing French, the dark blue is Arabic, the light blue is Russian, and the purpley pink is Mandarin Chinese. So, as you can see, English is very spread out throughout the world. And it's very important to know many languages if they are spread out. So, about actually learning the language. In America, foreign language instruction in elementary schools and middle schools have dropped a lot. So, from 1997 to 2008, foreign language instruction has dropped from 31% to 25%. and middle school's foreign language instruction has dropped from 75% to 58% in about 11 years. So that's a pretty big drop, whereas foreign language instruction in high school has remained consistent at 91%. However, according to many experiments, it's harder to learn a second language when you're older. So when people say kids pick up a language, it just means it's easier to learn, and it's easier to learn when you're younger. So how many of you here can converse in a second language? Good number. Only 18% of Americans can converse in a second language, and 53% of Europeans can converse in a second language. Those languages usually being English, followed by French and German. So, as you see, almost 3 times more Europeans can converse in a second language over Americans. That's a big, big difference. And 800 million Asians can speak English as their second language. Those people usually being from China and India. So why can so many more Europeans can converse in a second language than Americans? It's probably because their children are learning much younger. This chart shows at what ages children in Europe start learning their first second language. So let's look at the example of Luxembourg. Children in Luxembourg start learning second languages when they're 6 years old. So they learn it the exact same way they're learning their first language. And it's about the same time. So they learn it like they're learning their own. And then they start learning their second foreign language at age 7, which is quite close. So by the time they're about 13 or 14, they can already be fluent, and so many more job opportunities will open. I find this very true because a lot of my friends in Switzerland, like my friend Anna Marie, she's German, but she spoke English and German. And when I first met her, I thought she was a native English speaker because she had been learning for so long, and her English was so good. So this is very helpful because not only will you learn it more easily, but you'll be able to speak that language when you're an adult. So what are some of the benefits of speaking a second language? Well, there are many job opportunities that might require knowing a second language. Whether you're a business person, I know my dad's been to many business meetings where he wasn't able to communicate with other people because they were speaking their own language, and he wasn't able to understand them. Other job opportunities could include a news person, like a news reporter. When they travel to many different countries, in order to get the news, it might be important to be able to communicate with people. Another job, according to the Department of Labor, translators and interpreters are some of the fastest growing careers. About 25,000 job opportunities will open between 2010 and 2020. Military officers, could be helpful for them to know a different language as well. So, how can we have more Americans speaking a different second language like Europe has so many Europeans speaking a different language? Well, let's look at a great example from the Chicago Public Schools. Currently, the Chicago Public Schools have 8,000 students learning Mandarin Chinese, which is almost 100% increase from just 2 years ago. So I'd like to see these changes all around America, in many different schools, many languages, and many ages. And as our world becomes more globalized, it'll be easier to communicate with so many more people and getting so much more information. Don't you all want to be able to communicate with everybody? The globalization of our world in 2035 will demand knowing a second language.